shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Love free music. Love free music. Let's make sure everything is safe. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are tuning in right now, give me 2 seconds. Today we're going to have an interview on, so let me make sure everything is rolling respectively.
And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am your hostess with the mostest, Andrew Faubert of North Sports, here to give you some raw, unedited content north of the American border. That's me. I don't know how to do my intro. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do my intro. What is this intro that I made up here? This is a bullshit intro here. Here to give you some raw, unedited, borderline sports content that's been wanted by the masses but ignored by the men with the passes. That's why I would come and join some new type of sports talk with a guy who knows absolutely nothing but knows everything. So that's me, ladies and gentlemen. I needed that piece of paper too. Gosh darn it. Let me get that back here. I am your host, Andrew Faubert of North Sports. Welcome to episode 3 of season 2, where today we're going to have a few conversations. We're going to go over the NHL, the NBA, and then we're going to have our guest, Nick Sitro, on today in about 10 minutes. Yeah, about 10, 15 minutes. But first, follow me on Twitter at Andrew_Faubert. You can also follow North Sports on Facebook at North Sports. Look for the logo everywhere. Once you see that logo, follow it, like it, embrace it. I'll be there. Instagram is at Foobs77. Funny guy Foobs77. The other one, it is really hard to start up an Instagram account. I don't really understand it, so I just kept it with mine. I'm just gonna put all the sports content up on there, the cards opening up on there. I'm going to be doing all that kind of stuff. So subscribe to me on YouTube. I'll be uploading the videos last week. Apparently I didn't. I went and looked today, and I actually had a couple of messages of people being like, Andrew, it's not on YouTube or on Spotify. And, you know, when I'm at work, I want to listen to you, which is awkward enough as it is, but I was like, okay. So I got to make sure that it actually uploaded. So I will make sure that is done after the episode. Go to YouTube, subscribe to me, and you will see all of the videos there. Also on Facebook. But it's a lot easier if you have YouTube because you can just see it going all the time. So, yeah. Also, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow, as you heard me say, on Spotify. The audio of this will be uploaded on Spotify all the time. I am sorry that it is all being done through a cell phone on live content, or else I'd be able to edit it so that you can, first of all, not hear me swallow all the time, or to hear me take these big, deep breaths because I like to just go and talk for like 3 minutes straight, or the fact that sometimes I talk really, 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 really quietly, and sometimes I talk really, really loudly. That's what I do. And I apologize to all the people in their cars who have to deal with that, where they could be like driving for an hour like I have to do to work every day. And you're just like, this podcast is nice. It's nice to just listen to the... Oh my God, he yelled. Ugh. Jesus, okay, I'm awake. I should have been awake the whole time while I was driving, but still. I see. They're yelling again. That's me. And I apologize, but I don't apologize. So there's this middle ground where there's something there. I'll figure it out. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, Heartbeat Hot Sauce. I need to get to that. They are part of our giveaway this year, ladies and gentlemen. Heartbeat Hot Sauce. My parents actually just got back. And then my dad had to go back to work. But my mom is here upstairs actually right now, and she brought me Persians and my own bottle of Heartbeat Hot Sauce. So I don't have to steal this one. Or this one. But what are these, ladies and gentlemen? This is Heartbeat Hot Sauce exclusive pack, where you got your jalapeno, your pineapple habanero, your normal red habanero, and my personal favorite, the blueberry habanero. Now, how do you want to win this? Honestly, anybody can win this. Even our guest today can win this, ladies and gentlemen. This right here can be won by you. All you have to do is whoa. Now I'm going to start changing the damn rules here. All you got to do is share the video, whether it's live or afterwards, and tag Heartbeat Hot Sauce into the comments. You do that, you get 2 entries into the draw right there. You do one of those each time, you get 1 draw. Or 1 entry into the draw. You get what I'm saying. So you want to win that? You want to win stuff like card boxes, like these. This right here, ladies and gentlemen. Not this one, but I'm going to have a box similar to this. A little blaster pack. Yes, little blaster pack. And that'll be entered into the draw later on, but not this one. I'm going to open this one while we have our interview with Mr. Nick Sitro today. So, without further ado, let us take a quick drink, make sure I have everything, and make sure I got everything kind of taken away off of here. Okay, we're good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some playoff talk. But before that, let's get into one thing that needed to be addressed before we start talking about playoffs. Is we had a stoppage again. And no, it wasn't for COVID. It was for a movement. And I'm only going to address this really lightly because everybody kind of has. And I feel as though if I don't, then I'm going to just be another one of those schmucks who just does a sports show to generate views for nothing. I do this because I love this, first of all, and I love all sports, and I love all the athletes and the media people and everything that goes into making sports happen. So therefore, when shit like this happens outside of it, and the athletes who make the entertainment for me to even have a platform to talk about, all of a sudden want to pause, I take notice. I am not one of those people, however, who is going to sit there and bitch and moan and say, how dare you bring politics into my sport? Guess what? You want to know why the reason they're doing it is because most of the people who watch these sports, or sorry, you know what? That's probably a little bit too much. A good handful of people who watch all of these sports watch these sports because there is a different thing that they can watch instead of the news and instead of politics. They can be taken away from that. And in this case, daughter's having a problem with something. And in this case, what happens is you have one side saying you can't bring this in there, and you have another side that's entertaining you. And the people who are entertaining you are telling you that they're having a problem outside of the entertainment business. Whether you believe on the one side and whether you believe on the other side, whether you lean to the left and whether you lean to the right, the one thing that we can always all agree on at the end of the day is life matters. And we can all have our beliefs. We can all have our own whatevers of everything. But love for your fellow man and woman, loving thy neighbor, whether they're in sport, whether they are not, whether they are a police officer, EMS, or not. Love is what we need. And I'm pretty sure there was a great man who got assassinated, probably because he dated a woman who did not have a proper name. Probably taking that completely out of context, but I'm talking about John Lennon. John Lennon talked about love and imagining a world with a lot of it. So at the end of the day, remember, ladies and gentlemen, to love one another and to love the players for having a platform to speak on. Because I got this podcast. I have this show. And to be honest, I don't have that many viewers or anything like that. I got a couple of diehard fans that will sit there and watch this every single time. I got a Bucs Report people that I work with. You know, Nick Sitro will be on in a few minutes here. There is, you know, people who are going to have their own beliefs and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, the one thing that we can all agree on is love, whether you're in sport or anything else. And that's all I really wanted to say about that. That's all I can really say about that. There's nothing else for me to say. Unless I am addressed by somebody who wants to talk about it, I have no platform to talk about it, except for saying that we all just need to love the fuck out of one another. Now, let's quickly get into some sports here. So, the NHL decided to get back on last night after the pause, same with the NBA. So we're going to get into a little bit of NHL news. Today actually is, I got my days mixed up. Okay, so today is the 30th. So the Lightning took a 3-1 lead in the series last night with a 3-1 victory over Boston. Ha! I hate the Bruins. The one thing that is going to be said about this is the fact that Tuukka Rask left and the Bruins kind of crumbled underneath it. You can say that all you want. It is respectively true. When a core team like that is exactly what that is a core team, and one of your big 5 or big 8 decides to just leave in the middle of war, which is what the mentality of some of these guys have, it does do a lot of damage. It does affect some things here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to say that at all. Now, Yaroslav Halak is a 35-year-old backup, and that's exactly it. He is a 35-year-old backup. Though, the one thing that could be said is Dwayne Rolson was a backup at like 37. Roman Cechmanek was a backup late into his 30s. Dominik Hasek was a backup late into his 30s. There is a lot of those old-style goalies who, if you put them in the right environment, can take that one run that they need and put it all out on the ice and stuff like that and get you where you want to go. Sadly, it doesn't look like Yaroslav Halak is going to be that goalie that he was for the Montreal Canadiens back in the day, where he had Montreal up in the Eastern Conference Finals up against Boston and did a pretty damn good fucking job, if you ask me. But they chose to go with Carey Price in the offseason, and that's probably the better of the choices. And that's probably not one of the better of my takes that I've ever had. I said they should have kept Yaroslav Halak and traded Carey Price. Carey Price was going to be a smuck. And God, was I young and dumb at that one. You also got the Flyers, the Flyers played the Islanders, and the Islanders won. It says that the Islanders have a 2-1 series lead now. So much fun happening up above me. Apologies if you could hear the screaming, ladies and gentlemen. That being said, you got the Islanders are playing very, very good right now. And the reason why is you got a head coach in Barry Trotz who is doing some shit that I have not seen in a long time. He jumped ship on a Stanley Cup winning team to go rebuild, essentially, a New York squad. That New York team was arguably one of the better franchises and one of the most prolific franchises back in the late 70s and early 80s because of their 4 Stanley Cup winning, because of the 4 straight Stanley Cup championships that they got. Now, that being said, these Islanders have depth all the way down to the 3rd line. 4th line is pretty darn good, but the fact that they got Semyon Varlamov and Greiss to be their backup on the behind Varlamov is something that a lot of people could not have asked for. I did not even know Semyon Varlamov was on the Islanders. That is something that went under the radar for me. So seeing the Islanders have this team this well stacked and stuff like that is something I did not necessarily see coming. A lot of people said that they saw this Islanders team being this dominant. I did not. I'm not going to lie. I did not see this happening at all. The Golden Knights take a 2-1 series lead. They shut out the Vancouver Canucks, and we'll get back to that in a second. Colorado, Dallas is the other one. It looks like Dallas has a 2-1 series lead as well. Now, Colorado has not necessarily shown up as we all thought they would in this series. And it is very, very, very surprising. I actually thought we would have more dominance out of Colorado. I thought they could even possibly sweep the Stars out of this one. I think the Stars have always been that, like the New York Islanders of the West. They've been that second-tier team that is really, really good and is consistent across the board. And you got a top 10 player in the league, arguably, in Tyler Seguin, but it can't get over the hump here sometimes. And it could be goaltending. It could just be awkward game management, bad coaching. But they've had the talent for a long time. It just, for some odd reason, wasn't working. Now, the other thing that I wanted to check out here is... There we go. The Golden Knights, when they played the Canucks, there's been a lot of talk about this whole Marc-Andre Fleury, Robin Leonard, his agent, all that kind of stuff. It's not looking good for Marc-Andre Fleury. I think Marc-Andre Fleury is going to be looking for a new home at the end of this season. And it sucks because he was the Golden Knights' first overall pick, and Robin Leonard has been a goalie that has been consistent for like the first season when he goes to a team, and then when he gets a decent chance to show what he can do, he doesn't get to be that consistent. He doesn't do that great. Now you put him on a squad like the Golden Knights, and I argued if they even kept Subban in there that they probably would have done a really good job like that as well, but it's going to be awkward. I have said that teams like the Senators, the Red Wings, some competitive teams who may just need a goalie for 1 or 2 years, like Edmonton, Calgary, not the Jets, Toronto, if they decide to walk away from Frederik Andersen. A couple of these teams could use Marc-Andre Fleury for 1 or 2 years if they think that that's the proper way to go. It just sucks because I love Fleury. I've loved Fleury before he was even a Golden Knight. I think he's been a great goalie. He's pissed me off because, the rivalry that them and Detroit had. But, my fiance is a diehard fan of the Golden Knights. She's a lifelong fan of the Golden Knights. And she loves Fleury just as much as I do. That's why she's got the Fleury jersey. And I don't want to see him leave Vegas. I know she would be very upset if he leaves Vegas. But it's really up to management. And honestly, who knows what's going to happen. I still have in the finals, I'm still sticking to it where I got Golden Knights and the Bruins. That's my finals prediction. Obviously, I got to stick to it because my teams are still in there. But I'm telling you right now, if you told me that Colorado or Vancouver was going to go to the finals and play the Lightning, for example, I would probably say that is a very good chance. Islanders would be the only good matchup against the Lightning, it looks like right now, because of the goaltending and the depth across the board. So you tell me, do you think it's Lightning going to win the Stanley Cup? Golden Knights winning the Cup? Who do you honestly think is winning the Stanley Cup this year, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know in the comment section. We'll get the debate going with Sitro here in a bit. We're just going to touch base on the NBA, and then we're going to get our guest on. I agree to your terms, you stupid internet. All right, so the Milwaukee Bucks, after the postponement of the games here, which, like I said, we've talked about, I am a fan of. The Milwaukee Bucks have 4-1 the Orlando Magic. Anybody who honestly thought that Portland and Orlando would do any more damage to these number 1 seeded teams, it's kind of like college basketball in the sense. It's a number 32 seed team or number 16 seeded team, you know what I mean, is not going to usually beat number 1. Now, it just happened not that long ago, and it happens, say, once in a blue moon. Blue moon. Ask about me. Balloon. Oh, that was rejection. No, I'm just kidding. That was also Grease, I think. So shout out to Grease. So, once in a blue moon, Golden State Warriors did it a few years ago against the Dallas Mavericks. And when I say a few years ago, I do mean a few years ago. I think Seth Curry was like first or second year in the league. who knows, man? It could happen later on, but not this year. Definitely not this year. Houston is going to be playing OKC, it looks like, in the next couple of days. My Thunder are not looking good considering they got absolutely spanked. Like, absolutely spanked. Like, 34 points. That is not good. The Lakers and the Trailblazers, Lakers are going through. Lakers are doing amazing. Everybody kind of knew that. The Clippers are going to beat the Mavericks. That's an easy one, in my opinion. Now that Kristaps Porzingis is basically out for the remainder of the season, Kawhi Leonard is playing with a chip on his shoulder, considering that he joined LeBron James in basically walking out. So, I don't know. Mavericks are going to be a hell of a team to compete against in the next couple of years, though. When Mark Cuban doesn't fuck around. Mark Cuban is going to go buy some talent and put it around Luka Doncic, or he's going to draft some talent and put it around Luka Doncic. That is a for sure 100% given. When you have talent like that, you do not waste it. Mark Cuban is the type of owner who's not going to fuck around. That is for sure. If you hear the fan in the background, I'm doing this while my fiance is working. So apologies if you hear that in the background, ladies and gentlemen. But this is what happens when you try to make everything work together. Got a babysitter upstairs and my mother because she's home. Got my fiance working to get some cash so we can get some more equipment to make this show better. Which is actually just to make rent, but it's neither here or there. And we're not poor here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I make better good cash. We also got the Nuggets and the Jazz. That looks like the series is being led by Utah 3-2, which I did not see coming. I thought Utah would kind of get swept out of this stuff, ladies and gentlemen, because of the whole issues that were going on the other side with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. Now, this is something that a lot of people said are not going to be an issue until the offseason and this, that, and everything else, and blah, 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 blah. Well, the one thing that I can tell you here is I've been hearing some rumors that Rudy Gobert could definitely be shipped. The reason for that is you can be a defensive player of the year all you want, but when there is other free agents available that can do just as well coming up in the next season, or value out there on the trade market that you can easily get for cheap, it starts to look very inevitable that you're kind of done. So I don't know what to tell a lot of these people. I don't think that I would be willing to put a lot of money down that says Donovan Mitchell is not getting traded. Okay, it's Rudy Gobert or get the fuck out. And especially when he's I'm gonna touch everything in the middle of a pandemic. That does not look good. I don't give a damn on what team you played for, who you played for, who your coach is, what the hell is going on. It does not look good. All right. I'm still holding true to my predictions because you got the Raptors playing the Celtics. Now, don't think my friend is ever going to see this, but shout out to Travis. You, my friend, is an old coworker of mine, and he doesn't work there anymore. But he told me that if the Raptors played the Celtics would not stand a chance. That the Celtics are going to be a worse off team this year than anything. Now, Travis, if you see this is me extending that offer to you, and I might even clip this out and send it to you personally. I still think the Raptors are going to the finals, okay? But this is going to 7. And I can almost, I'll put money on it to say that the Celtics would win in 7. I love the Raptors. I love the depth that they've got, but there's just something going on with these Celtics right now that I think that, you know, the Raptors, hey, if the Raptors can fucking win this series, God bless. God bless. But it is going to be hard against the Celtics, okay? I got a bet going on with Joshua Cole Allen, the host of The Audible, on Wednesday nights at 7:30, I think his time, 5:30 my time. I think that's what it is. I'll have to get that for sure. He is a diehard Boston fan across the board. And, of course, he is a Buccaneers supporter and fan now. And what he has even said is the Celtics are not a team to take lightly. And that's why I made a bet with him, saying, you know, Toronto, it's a little Canada versus America rivalry. But on this case, when it comes down to the brass tacks of everything, I am going to probably go with Boston. Does that sound un-Canadian of me? Yes. But when it comes down to betting and taking the bias out of it, there's a reason why. And it's because Boston has just as much depth as Toronto, but I think Jason Tatum is starting to take that elite status that Toronto is missing. Kyle Lowry is a great player. Pascal Siakam is a great player about to become elite, but Jason Tatum is already elite. And that is what is going to take them over the Raptors. I cannot believe I am saying that. My goodness. That being said, I still am holding true to the fact that I still think that at the end of the day, one second here. I still think, you know, betting-wise, if you're going to be a betting man, would take the Raptors and Clippers, because if the Raptors beat out the Celtics, man, and the Bucks on the other side, like if they meet the Bucks on the other side, I don't think that the Bucks are going to have enough revenge in their back pocket to beat the Raptors. I think they can let Giannis Antetokounmpo go for so long, and it would only work so well. So that has been the NBA rundown, ladies and germs. I'm going to get to the comment section here in a second. Of course, everything is just being dumb for me right now, but it's all good. We're getting there. We're getting there. Making sure everything is all good. Oh, we do actually have some comments here today. Right on. So, we got, I don't agree with the Texans. Johnny, we'll talk about that here in a bit when I get Sitro on, which I'm going to be switching everything around right now, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, this is a B-rated show. Everything is done off of a cell phone and my microphone. Once I get a camera angle better and all that kind of stuff, it'll be a lot better. So I'm going to switch the camera around. And then, yeah, we're going to basically have it so that I can see Sitro when we interview him. I'm going to send him the link and get him to into the video. There we go. All right, let's try this. Just hold on. Good thing everybody can't smell me right now. I just did. It's like, oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm gonna pop around here. All right. I'm gonna pop around here. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. All right. Now. Let's see. So Sitro, if you are watching, you can go to the you can join. There we go. All right, I just have to put this here. This is such great quality, guys. I know. I'm sorry. It will get better once I get sponsored. Is that better? All right. There we go. And we'll get the light on. Hey, all right. So, there we go. So, yeah, Sitro, if you are watching, just hit the invite link, or it should say at the top, like, join the live feed. So just hit that. Yeah. So, I'll just try to talk. So, I'm gonna chat, let's see how I can get this to work. Now, what is this? Request. Okay. So we're just having a little bit of difficulties. There we go. Should be allowed now. Should be allowed anyway. All right. There we go. Should be good. We'll get him on here in a second, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, we're just having some difficulties, and it's of course on my side. Oh, there we go. Boom. Boom. Yes. I think we have got it. Gentlemen.
Oh, we figured it out.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a co-host of mine, an analyst, a journalist, a writer. Let me get this camera angle a little proper here. An insider for the Bucs Report, the infamous Nick Sitro. How's it going today, my friend?
What's going on? We've got 2 weeks till kickoff. I'm hyped.
Oh,
So
I
hyped.
cannot wait.
I didn't know if we were actually going to get to this point where we were going to have football, but it seems like we're going in the right direction.
Honestly, when I first joined, and I'm sorry, I'm just getting back to the show. Like I got a tablet, I got an old phone, I got my phone going. This is the way that I get my shows going. It's so unprofessional, and I love it. So just looking at some of the comments here that I saw, and I can scroll down here. You the man. He doesn't agree with the Texans. We'll get into that in a second. Bruins suck balls, obviously. Hashtag go Knights.
Where's Josh?
Josh will probably view this soon once he hears all the shit talking we're doing of his Bruins. Tatum, I hardly know him. Johnny doesn't agree with anything. Citro's epic hair.
I did it just for you.
Aw, see, Johnny, he does all this stuff just for you. What is this here? Citro working on that kid and play hair.
At least I have hair, Johnny.
Oh, Johnny. Hey, everyone invited. Awesome. There we go. Yeah, and then I'm all caught up on this side. Citro is in the comments. Perfect. Nice. Now I'm all caught up. So, welcome to the show. You are the second guest that I've ever had on here. Josh was obviously the first because I had to get him on to talk some of the Bruin talk that we had going on here. But so for all my Canadian viewers, tell them a little bit about yourself there, buddy.
Yeah, so obviously I write for Bucs Report. Been a diehard Bucs fan ever since I could watch football, so early 90s, or late 90s, early 2000s. I've never really been too much into the NHL. I started watching this year and kind of jumped on the Lightning bandwagon, which Joshua Cole Allen is really upset about, but is what it is. As a diehard Lightning fan for about 6 weeks, it's been really fun to watch. But NBA, not really a big fan of any teams. I love Kemba Walker coming out of UConn. As people know, I'm from New England, so in Connecticut specifically, so big UConn fan. I guess the only New England team that I actually root for is the Red Sox, but they're atrocious, absolutely atrocious. So, yeah, it's pretty much just football 24/7, to be honest.
Yeah, that's basically what we've talked about in the group chat so many times is, we talk Buccaneers all the time. A lot of people know me here in Canada and just my friend groups in general as the diehard sports fan. When they bring up something and they think that it's, say, smart or, what do you think about this trade and this possibility? And I'm like, have you ever heard of what an RFA is, a UFA? Have you ever heard what rookie, signings are and restrictions in the NBA and this, that, and everything else? And people know me as that type of person. I have always loved analytics and stuff like that. And once I started getting into all this and said, screw it, I'm going to start popping on these shows and start making my own. Once I started meeting you gentlemen, I started realizing that there is a whole completely different world out there with, the insider world and how easily, I guess you could say, you can dwell and get into something, say like the Pat McAfee show, and then quickly be taken out of it. And with that being said, Citro here had his name dropped twice, 3 times actually, on the Pat McAfee show, because of a scoop that you dropped on Twitter that a lot of people were not happy with in Pittsburgh, at least for the Steelers. And I, being just a fan of Pat McAfee show, usually have it on when I'm at work and I'm talking to you guys. And all of a sudden I'm just listening and then you hear Nick Sitro's name get dropped. And then Mark Madden starts coming in and starts talking shit basically about you. And that's when I started realizing, oh my goodness gracious, we could have one of the biggest breaking points here. We could have Nick Sitro on the Pat McAfee show, and then Mark Madden basically fucked that up. So what happened, Sitro? Like, not weird. You still there?
I'm still here.
That was weird. Yeah, I think we're all good. So basically, yeah, what happened? Not the fact that you didn't get on the Pat McAfee show or anything, but tell my viewers and tell the people at home kind of the backstory of what was going on there with the fuck himself, Mark Madden, and the man himself, Pat McAfee.
Yeah, I mean, that was a wild ride. So for people that don't know, I have a source in within the Buccaneers building. And, you know, when you're not really, you know, you don't work for a newspaper, you haven't been writing for that long, people are going to take it with skepticism. And I think definitely in the era of social media, you know, fans, I guess I'll put in quotes, have sources a lot more than you would think. It's not just shut to you know, writers, and they go out to eat with agents, and that's how they get their source. It's opened up a lot more where it's not just a select group of people. So I've had a source for a while. You know, I've tweeted out stuff about free agency for the Bucs, who was interested and whatnot, and they got some traction, but you know, it wasn't a ton. It was, you know, this player's interested in the Bucs. You know, what, he has a visit with X, Y, and Z, and it would get like 15 likes, and it was mildly interesting to some people. And then Jameis Winston, the report, he signed with the Saints. I think Ian Rappaport came out with that, and Ian Rappaport said he turned down teams for more money and decided to go to the Saints. And I was like, that's interesting. I'm going to try to figure out who those teams are. And I reached out to my source, and they said Pittsburgh was one of them. They told me another one, but they said don't name drop them. So I don't know if I can still not do. I'm not going to say it just so I don't get in trouble. But
of course.
Anyways, I tweeted out, you know, Jameis Winston. He was offered more money by the Steelers, but decided to go to the Saints to learn under Drew Brees. And I didn't really think that was, you know, I didn't think it was going to explode at all. And then next thing I know, I look at my phone, and I've got, like, you know, Steelers blogs and Steelers websites with 80,000, 100,000 followers liking, retweeting, and the thing is just exploding. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I unknowingly entered a war in Pittsburgh that had been going on for an entire season with, you know, they had Duck Hodges, who wasn't great. Ben Roethlisberger got hurt. They had been, I guess this radio station had been talking about the possibility of Jameis Winston for, you know, 6 months. And people were either on board or not, and they would argue about it. And much like Tampa Bay, where people would argue about Jameis Winston. And I kind of just threw myself in that fire unknowingly. And that radio station reached out to me and said, do you want to come on our show and talk about it? I said, sure. I went on, and they had been supported. You know, I think they had dropped scoop that Jameis Winston was interested in the Steelers, or vice versa. And they looked at me as, oh, here's another guy that's, you know, in with the Bucs that could verify our story. So, you know, I did that radio show. I think Pat McAfee was after that or before that. I don't even remember, but he somehow, the tweet blew up, and then he retweeted it, and it threw it up on the show. And I woke up one morning like, what, what is going on? And then it didn't even stop there. Then 2 days later, they're still talking about it. Yep. And Mark Madden goes on and says, oh, this kid knows nothing. He's a fanboy, yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, it was just crazy. The Steelers fan base just went insane. I got DMs from people like, you're the biggest piece of garbage ever. Like, I got death threats from people in DMs.
Oh, my God.
Because of this scoop.
See, some of these
not
fans.
That serious.
No, I mean, something like this should not obviously consist of death threats. I mean, and not to say the Washington football team and everything that's going on with them should require Dan Snyder's death threats that he's been getting either. I mean, it is a sport here that we are talking about, and it is, you know, players' livelihoods and stuff like that. That show, that episode for me was hilarious because, you know, I've said this before. Me and you are still the, you know, the smaller guys at the bottom, but you are like the small big guy. Like, you are up and coming. You are a fast riser.
I'll take that. I'm the small big guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you are what a lot of Canadians, like, taking hockey into this. You are a depth prospect that was drafted in like the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, and you proved yourself in the minors. You came up on the fourth line. You scored a damn hat trick with that Pat McAfee show. And now you're one of the big six, on Bucs Report that's leading everything with Peter, with Josh, with Blake, with Rick now. You got Keith, the dude himself, leading everything, and our boy Patrick. Like, it has been a fun experience, and you've been doing a hell of a good job, especially having your insider, which then led me to start, doing what I've done a little bit. Obviously, I went to toe-to-toe with Jameis 1 of 1, not necessarily just for you, but I have my own opinions on people who take credit, who don't put their name out there, but that's just me. And then, Greg Allman, major respect to him and everything he's done as well, but I just don't like it when, the small guys get picked on, especially when someone's been, rising up the ranks like yourself. So I've always been that guy at the bottom, chipping away at those guys, and they're always like, who the hell is this Canadian? What the hell is he doing? Why the hell is he talking? And this, that, and everything else. Going into something that I did want to talk about, though, I did have all these questions, and I've never actually done, say, a professional interview, so apologize.
First time, let's go. I've never really done one either on the other side, so I guess a little bit, but.
Well, yeah. The one thing I wanted to bring up is me and you played football. I know that you played football. I'm not sure the position that you played, but I just wanted to get where did you play football? How long did you play? Score any touchdowns?
I played football since when I was really, really young, like third grade and earlier. I played soccer, and then I had a buddy who played football. I wanted to get me into it, so I quit soccer, started playing football in like fourth grade, I think. So youth football, I'm talking, middle school or earlier. I played mostly tight end and safety, but at that age you don't really throw a lot. It's pretty limited. So you're pretty much blocking for the most part. And then when I got to high school, we didn't even have a high school football team. So I live in Connecticut. There's some pretty big schools around, but I mean it's nothing like Florida and Texas where they've got like mini stadiums. It's nothing like that.
Right.
So freshman year, we worked really hard to get a football team, and we ended up co-opting with another school, which means we just combined. So my freshman year, I didn't really play a lot because there was no like JV team, there's no freshman team. It was a new team, so a ton of kids wanted to try out. So I really didn't get a shot till junior and senior year, where the kid in front of me graduated. Junior year, I started at wide receiver and corner, and then senior year was really my best year by far. But I'll say corner is it was the hardest position by far out of the four that I played. I mean, you're on an island out there, and not even against the toughest competition in the state either. So, I scored. Actually, this is my one shining moment besides the Pat McAfee show. I think the first like 3 or 4 weeks, I was the league leader in like receiving touchdowns, and my name was in the paper, and then it all kind of fell apart after that. So, I got my 15 moments of fame then.
Nice. So obviously Canadian football and American football are a lot different. The rules, our fields are usually a little bit wider and longer. We only have 3 downs and stuff like that. My high school started in grade 9. Our high schools are way different in Canada just throughout. Some people start in grade 10, some people start in grade 8, some people just start straight up in grade 7. So I started in grade 9. I started playing football in grade 9. I've been a Bucs fan since I was in grade 5. I got picked on for it. Everybody who was a Broncos fan or a Patriots fan, Cowboys fan, Eagles fan, I got it left, right, and center. But when they won that Super Bowl, that's when, the ginger starts getting a little respect in the playground. Thank you very much.
And then it all falls apart after that.
Oh, yeah, let's not get into that. High school was not easy. But when I played in high school, grade 9, I was a wide receiver. I never got thrown to. I was kind of, 6th, 7th off the chart. But in grade 10, they randomly, in a scrimmage, threw me in as defensive end. They're like, can you just go stand there? And I'm like, yeah, like, what do I do? They're like, if you can get past the big guy in front of you and you can hit Madge, which was our quarterback at the time, then you win. You'll get a sack and this, that, and that. So I was like, oh, cool. So they say hut, and I did it. right off the bat. I didn't like tackle him, but I hit him, and they started yelling like, "Don't hit the quarterback!" And I'm like, I just got told. He just told me to hit the quarterback, and then the coach is sitting on the other side like, guys, I didn't think he was going to get there. I'm sorry.
He had no faith in you. He didn't actually think you were going to do it.
No, so he even said, he's like, go do it again. He's not going to do it again. To go do it again. So he even sent like the tackle and the guard at the time to just chip me, and it worked. I still got past him, still hit the quarterback. This time I actually tackled him, and he still threw the ball. And the other coaches are yelling, tell him not to fucking hit him. Don't fucking let this guy through, blah, 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 blah. So done scrimmage. They basically throw me, they're like, you can just go play with the big guys now. You're a lineman. I'm like, I'm 100 and at this point, I think it was 150 pounds soaking wet, probably what I'm at right now. And they're like, you're going with the lineman. And the only reason they kept me there is because I could just swivel my way through. And they're like, here's how to do a swim, and you can spin, and this is too easy. So first game for me, I got 3 sacks. I got a forced fumble. I've never had a touchdown myself. I know I was up for consideration for Defensive Player of the Year in grade 10. I got a hardest hit of the game one time, and I ended up taking a quarterback out for the rest of his career, and I still feel bad for that.
You don't seem like much of a defensive end. That's wild.
And, well, when I was in high school...
150 pounds. That's really skinny.
Well, here's the thing. When I was in high school, I lived out in the country, and when I started actually doing good, because my mom, God bless her, she's upstairs too, grade 9, we live an hour and a half away from the games essentially, and they got to drive every single time. They're watching me just be on the bench. And then all of a sudden, grade 10, 11, and 12 hit, and my name's being said on the speakers sometimes. My mom's like, what the hell is going on? So I started working out a little bit out in the country, just, more running. I had more stamina and more speed than 90% of most of the teams out there because I was so skinny. And of course, you put a 360-pound hamburger eating grade 11 kid on me, I was having a rough day. Thanks, Hammershold. But, I still got 20 and a half sacks in grade 10. I racked up at least 12 in grade 11. Grade 12 was not my great year. I was a kicker for a bit too. Got injured in my returning year and never won a championship. Now, have you won a championship or?
Not in high school. And when I played youth, we were in the championship game and we lost, which was incredibly depressing. But no, as a co-op school, we were pretty terrible. There were only like a couple of schools we could beat. And then after I left, they went into a weaker conference. So yeah, we didn't even sniff anything close to that in high school.
Yeah, see, we got to the championship in grade 9. I think we were a running team all the way through. That's just what our school's mentality always was. And I know we scored 2 throwing touchdowns when we went to that championship, which threw everybody off. Still lost 42-14. And then it was my returning year. I was injured. I still will never forgive the referees for it. It was 3rd and 10. On the 10-yard line, we score, we win, we kick a field goal, we basically win as well. But because I'm injured, I can't kick the field goal. The other guy that they trusted, they were like, it's too far for him, even though it's just a chip shot. So they threw it, and Matt Madge got that ball right into Anthony Stika's hands, puts those 2 feet down in the end zone. The push out is where the ball fumbles out after he's already taken a step out of the end zone. So then the referee calls it incomplete pass. The game is over. You want to talk about a Hollywood ending, like where it was storming that you couldn't run on the field. People were getting
That's brutal.
It was one of the best games to ever watch. I wish I could have been part of it, but my God, I will never forgive that referee for that. So I'm glad that you actually played football, because when we talk to some of the guys and even you on Twitter, some people don't pay you the respect that you do deserve. They think that people like me and you, and even Peter and stuff like that, our big boss on the sports web, they don't think that we've actually indulged in this game. They think that we're just outside fans who've played Madden. And yeah, I play Madden, but my God, man, I've been in Blizzard games. I've been in not Blizzard games, but I've been in rainstorms. I've been in -40 games. Like, what has been one of the more crazier games that you've played when you were either in high school or youth or anything like that?
Ooh, That's a good question. Crazy games?
Like weather-wise, score-wise?
Yeah, I'd have to say when in youth football, it was like a torrential downpour, and oh man, it was either that one or we were playing in the snow where it was like an absolute blizzard. You could barely see like 4 feet in front of you. The torrential downpour one, I remember, it was like a safety blitz, and I was trying to get a sack, and I grabbed onto his jersey, and he just carried me for like 4 yards because I just slipped straight through everything. But yeah, I played in some snowstorms too, where it's absolutely wild. I think did we win that game? I think we won actually on a field goal from like 4 yards away, but it was one of the hardest field goals ever because you couldn't see. I was like, just go kick in that general direction. We'll see if it goes in. So, yeah, but I mean, a lot of going back to your other point, a lot of guys on ESPN or NFL Network, they haven't played football. I mean, they bring back former players, but there's reporters that haven't played, and you don't have to have played the game to understand it. Like watching all 22 film, I was never a coach. I don't know what to look for, but you talk to people who know what they're talking about, and they eventually teach you what to look for, and then you kind of figure it out for yourself. So, it obviously does playing it at a high level help? Sure, but I don't think you have to be there to be an expert.
No, I mean, say what you want about Tony Romo. I've always been on the opposite end where he's the best backup of all time that is a 1B type starting quarterback. But did anyone ever expect that man in the booth to be that type of a genius? Hell no.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I like seeing that, ESPN and all that is trying to do is utilize the talent that's out there. But yeah, you still get this, people that haven't played and they still, think that they're better than everybody else. I mean, people go at Pat McAfee for being a punter, for crying out loud. I mean, look at the whole Adam Cole thing, right? Whether I still think a bit of it is staged. Like my fiance,
I think 100% of it was staged. It was all staged.
Like
it's WWE. They're just actors.
Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong. I think what happened is, I think what happened on the show may have been a little bit authentic, but I think Triple H saw an opportunity to utilize that behind the scenes and was just like, no, I need you guys to keep it going. Pat, me and you can still be friends, but we can't, be good with each other on camera technically anymore. And you can get into wrestling. You're going to get a payout and this, that, and everything else. You're on vacation. Let's do it. And I think Pat turned around and was just like, fuck yeah. You mean I can actually kick him in the head and he actually gets to punch me if he wants to legally and we're going to get paid for it? Okay. And I think that's kind of what happened there. What do you think on that? You think that's 100% too, eh?
Yeah, I think there was probably a little bit of authenticity to start, and then they were like, why don't we just turn this into something more? And then they had him come on and then, take it to the next level. And then there was a video of him walking in, I don't even know where it was, a parking lot, but they were filming him walking into a ring or something, Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it started as authentic and then they just blew it up into something that really wasn't at all. But
I agree.
I mean, more power to him. If he can make money on it, then go for it.
Oh, totally. I mean, that if we, for some odd reason, got told to be on Pat McAfee's show just so that, you can get shit on by Mark Madden, which when I say shit on, they're going to put Mark Madden on the show and he's going to talk to you and you're going to kindly tell him to fuck off kind of thing. If they told us that, I get to be there for 10 grand just to, drive you around.
10 grand, I'll sit there and you can call me whatever you want. Jeez.
Exactly. So I think Triple H turned it around and was just like, I will give you close to $1 million right now just for you to come and do this segment around your wedding time. And I bet you Pat was like, fuck yeah. Now, with regards to Pat, I've said before with the guys at Bucs Report and stuff like that, I want there to be a Barstool type of, platform where ESPN content can be on a different type of platform. But when somebody wants to be like, Jesus fucking Christ, did you see that hit? Somebody can say, Jesus fucking Christ, have you seen that hit? Pat has switched his platform off of CBC Sports Radio to go to Sirius to allow that. From what I've been hearing behind the scenes too, Barstool is kind of doing some things to give themselves a bigger platform like ESPN to allow them to start taking people like that. And I've always looked up to those type of people because I've been the type of person that said, when it comes to comedy, I can't drop any jokes without saying fuck. And people said that's unprofessional, and I would say fuck you. Go listen to Andy Dice Clay, go listen to Bill Burr. They're funny and their content's always great, but they got swears in it. All these people I've looked up to. I've looked up to you because of what I said earlier, how fast you've climbed the ranks, how much of a fuck you do not give when people come at you. I've looked up to Peter. He has been a great mentor to all of us. I mean, he is probably the Pat Quinn of coaching. I mean, look what he's done with Josh, the fact that he's still got Blake and Ray going and stuff like that. They have been great contributions to us and what we've wanted to do. But besides them, who has been the biggest influence in your life, or has been the biggest influence for you getting into what you're wanting to do now?
That's a good question. I'd say biggest influence just in life in general would have to be my parents. Both my mom and my dad. Both are incredibly smart. My dad is like the most driven person probably I've ever met. So, I mean, you want to model after him. But in terms of, sports fandom and getting into like this stuff of content, it really was just passion for the Bucs. There really was no one there besides myself. I was like, I love this team so much, and I am just Bucs 24/7. I can turn this into something more. And originally, I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, I saw on Twitter where, I think it was full press coverage. They said, we're looking for writers. And I was like, should I do this? I mean, I don't really know like what kind of writers they're looking for. Do they want people like in the building? I had no idea what like any of it was about. And Philip was actually the editor at the time. And he said, write me in a sample. So I think I wrote something about Justin Watson or whatever it was.
Nice.
And he said, oh, you're on board. Let's go. So, I mean, we started writing stuff. I think I had like a weekly thing about the opponent and kind of what their game plan was going to look like. Think about it more. I was like, I think I want to run my own website. And I started Bucs 365. I changed my Twitter handle and all that. That only lasted for like 2 months. You quickly learn how hard it is to run a website by yourself.
Yes, sir.
And I had people who were like, I want to write stuff for you as long as I can put my own name on it. Are you cool with that? I said, that's fine. So people would write stuff like random people on Twitter. I have something, I'd throw it on the website. And then we had the dude who would DM me like every month, how's your website doing? And I'd be like, oh, I haven't really written that much in a while. And he'd come back again, ask me, how it was doing again. And then finally he asked, do you want to join us? And that was pretty much that was history. So I guess to go back to your question, in terms of sports content, I wouldn't say there was really anyone but myself that really drove me into this area. So
yeah, and respectively the same up here. I mean, in Canada, there's not that many people who understand when I get into like the deep diving of sports, whether it is hockey, the Bucs, NBA, MLB. Like I've been able to hold conversations with baseball people, and they look at me and they're like, you're the football guy. Like, what the fuck? How do you, and a lot of people on Twitter and actually have come at me before Bucs Report on that, being like, you can't be a person that is, the biggest personality in all 4 sports, which to them, it's the reason I made this show. I've been the reason here in Canada that, especially, where I grew up, my family, a lot of friends out here, they're starting to get into the other sports because they got someone like me who just wants to entertain, wants to drop a couple of fuck bombs here and there, but wants to show them, that there's a betting strategy to it, that there's, math to it. I mean, my kids are going to grow up, whether they fucking like it or not, are going to grow up knowing, the current rosters of all my favorite teams. They're going to grow up knowing the the best players of every one of their teams and stuff like that. And that's just the way that it's been brought up here. Now, one of the final questions I got for you before we kind of get into just a quick little Buccaneers predictions and stuff like that is, while you're down there, and I mean down there, obviously living in the States, but while you live in the States and you have all these big media gurus, and I mean this in all respect, say ahead of you, not even just Greg Auman and Rick Stroud, like we're talking the big guys at ESPN, we're talking Colin Cowherd and stuff like that. how do someone like you and me and everybody else at Bucs Report, but more for you yourself, the fast up and coming prospect here, how do you get ahead of all these other bigwigs and start showing the rest of the Americans down there what true analytics and insider reporting is?
I think you have to have, I don't want to say a niche, but something that you do really well that really isn't provided anywhere else. And obviously stats are huge, but that was kind of my thing is, pulling out stats, tweeting about them. My Levante David stats were really the kind of thing that kicked it off where you just go on Pro Football Reference and look through it. Anyone can do it. It's not that hard.
Exactly.
But, you look at, let's see what are his stats compared to Luke Kuechly, and you're like, oh shit, he's much better than Luke Kuechly. And then you look at Bobby Wagner. It's like these guys don't even compare to Levante David. And you tweet that out or you post it or whatever it is. And most of the people that follow me are obviously Bucs fans, and that's my interest. So I go for Bucs stats specifically, and it just blows up. And I think the other thing you have to do is take risks. You have to be willing to, if you develop a source, you have to be willing to put something out there that the mainstream guys are afraid to do. And that's what I did with Jameis Winston. And, we talked about the Vita Vea with COVID. I tweeted that out anyways, so I could do a little, I had this before all of you.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
You have to be willing to put stuff out there that you might get backlash for and that people might say, yeah, I don't believe you. But then when it comes out 3 months later that, yeah, you were right, people are constantly looking for information and they're going to go back to you. So.
And yeah, you being an insider, you getting that scoop is kind of what led me to kind of delve into the insider realm a little bit, which is how I got the Kraken insider scoop there I had before. And, it had been across Twitter and a few people had dropped it as like jokes and stuff like that. But having the North Sports platform and having the Bucs Report platform, I even messaged you guys and said, I have this and I'm going to run with it. I'm not going to do it obviously on Bucs Report because it had nothing to do with hockey, but this is the first time ever that I actually got that rush that, you probably felt and all the other insiders have, where I put it out there and I had people messaging me being like, you better be fucking right or we are going to tear you apart. And when I watched that video and it happened, I almost cried because it was like, this is a nice feeling, man.
You have to be careful how you frame it too, though. Sometimes you have to be careful how you frame it because, if you're saying, I'll just throw out a random example. LaShawn McCoy. There's a big difference in saying LaShawn McCoy is going to sign with the Bucs and LaShawn McCoy is interested in the Bucs, because if you go all the way to 100% and say player A is going to sign here and they don't, a lot of things change by the time you hit tweet and the thing actually happens. Maybe it could be anything. Maybe they don't offer as much money. Maybe his mom gets sick and he doesn't want to go far away. You never know what happens behind the scenes. And when you're wrong, people are just going to remember that you're wrong. It doesn't matter what happens, behind closed doors too. Sometimes you got to keep it a little bit vague to leave room, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And, not to say that I never believed you, but when you started dropping, the Winston stuff and some of the other stuff that you dropped, like the Vita Vea, that's when I was like, I'm in. Like, if Sitro says something, I'm going to roll with it. And it's funny because now with the whole Kraken thing, I've got 3 people at work that are like, I don't even do TSN. I'll just message you from now on. Like, do you know if this guy's injured? Do you know this?
I have the same, people are messaging me. I've had people messaging me about like Lightning stuff. Is Hedman going to go in? I was like, I have no idea. I don't know anything about hockey. I don't have any insider hockey stuff. It's just the Bucs and football vaguely.
The thing that I've said, and Peter disagrees with me, is, and I will say this, and I'll have it actually on video and not in the group chat. With regards to the Lightning, as a person who does a little bit more hockey than usual, I personally think that if the Lightning go to the finals and they win, they'll keep Stamkos because then they have the talent already that they can just keep him on the roster and do it again. I honestly think that if they get to the conference final or if they get to the finals and they lose again, and even if Stammers comes in for the last 3 games like he did the one time there, I don't think it's looking good for Tampa Bay fans who really love Stammers. And I'm not saying that as a hater. I'm not saying that as, a Red Wings fan, who is still a little butthurt of the whole Cronwall hit of a few years ago. And we'll talk about that, off air. But I think because of the cap hit and because he does have a lot of talent still left in him, I think that, if you're a team like Minnesota and you lost out on the Lafreniere pick and, you've had to trade Zucker and you're starting to get a little bit older, but you're still always in the running, I would start making the trade there. I mean, if Tampa couldn't get the offer for him and they have to dump the cap space, I think, someone like Detroit, if they were honestly interested in, and I'm not saying this just as a Detroit fan, I always take the unbiased out of it. You got to look at someone like Detroit who has the cap space to take him. Even San Jose, if you want to take him out of the conference, you would obviously want to look at San Jose and stuff like that. But it is going to be hard to trade Stammers. I honestly think the Lightning are in a bit of trouble if they don't win it. But to be honest, now that you got Rask that basically left, it's a lot easier to defeat the Bruins. Thank fucking God. So I'm tired of talking about the Bruins unless they're kicking the ass out of the Leafs, and that's only because I hate the Leafs more.
I think Stamkos, I don't know. I think kind of the opposite where I need to, first of all, I need to see more. When Tuukka Rask left, I agree with you. That team fell apart, the Bruins, and now they're up 3-1. I need to see what they can do against the Islanders, and I agree. I think Vegas is probably going to go to the finals. If they can win without Stamkos, I think he's probably gone. If they lose in the Eastern Conference Finals and he still isn't playing, I think there's a better chance that he comes back because they're going to look back and say we need him. But the salary is really the key because it's a big hit. So I don't know a lot about hockey salary cap and all that stuff, but it seems like they're doing just fine without him at the moment.
Yeah, and the fact that you just started getting into hockey, like I'm gonna get you so ready for like the off season and the cap space and stuff like that. And one last thing before we get into a little bit of Buck talk here before we end the show, just regards to the Lightning there. He's a fan. I'm not a fan of the Lightning, and I'm always, like I said, I'm always going to hold the unbiased out of it. But you Lightning fans, if I ever see a poll that says Stamkos is better than the following players, Andrechuk, LeCavalier, or Martin St. Louis, I will unfollow your dumbass so quick, it won't even be funny.
So you're telling me to put up a poll on Twitter and tag you in it?
You could. Hey, you want to? That's fine. My honest opinion, those three won you a cup. Stamkos is a great player, but he hasn't. It'd be like people here in Edmonton saying that McDavid is better than Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, and Paul Coffey. It's not. It's not happening. So, that being said, let's get into something that we do know a little bit. We'll touch base on it for about 10, 15 minutes, and I'll get you out of here because we got the guys going to be doing a show at the Bar and Grill. I should have asked Keith for the name of it. Keith or Johnny or any of the guys, if you're watching this, send it to me in a message where they're doing the show. I'll drop it here in the show.
I believe it's called The Deck, I'm pretty sure.
I think it is. If it's like The Deck and Le Grill or something like that, or just The Deck. I just want to make sure because I want all my Canadian fans to try to go there or at least watch, because I can't cross the border. And I swear to God, if the
no illegal crossing.
Not with Trump as your president. I can tell you right now,
I'm not touching that.
I know. I am not going to be happy if the border is still closed and the Buccaneers make the Super Bowl because I have places I can go. I have ways to get there. It would be so cheap for me to get there. And if they told me no, I would be so pissed. So let's get into it. My prediction this season for the Buccaneers remains the same record that I had in prediction 2. I got them at 12-4, obviously better than the 10-6 I started with before. This is taking into account all major injuries that have happened across the board. The only one that I'm now kicking myself in the ass is Minnesota. I have them very low, and now with that signing of Ngakoue, that fills one of the holes in the defense that makes them a little bit more of a competitor again. So I think that I'll give Minnesota maybe one more win. I don't think they're going to be the 7th pick in the draft, like I said, anymore. I think it would be between the 11th, 12th, and 13th. But going into this quickly, the only losses that I have for the Buccaneers, I still have them losing week 1. I know that could probably change now that there's no crowd noise. I have them losing week 7 at the Raiders. I have them losing week 11 at the Rams, and I have them losing week 15 at Atlanta. I have Tom Brady with 4,460 yards total, 34 touchdowns in the air, 3 rushing. He'll have 12 interceptions with 4 forced fumbles. Another quick stat to give out there. Points per game will go to 28.5, down 0.1 from their 28.6 last year. And their defense, I think, is going to be a lot better. Last year, allowing 28.1 points, and I think this year is going to be around 26.6 to 26.7. And I did switch my Shaq Barrett take. I think I'm going to have him around 9 sacks instead of the 6.5 that I got torn apart for. I do. The only reason I made that take is because we've seen it throughout time. Unless you have, LT or Cunningham or any of those guys, White. The consistency is hard to do as a pass rusher when you have film being broken down on you. So they're going to throw better blockers at Shaq. Knowing that Vita Vea is obviously there, I think that's why Vita Vea gets more sacks this year. I got Sue with 5, JPP with 5, Levante with 7, and White with 4. In total, I still think that they're going to get 41, 42 sacks. What do you think on that, Mr. Sitro?
So I did a game by game prediction back in May, and I finally found it.
Nice.
People are like, oh, you can't do a new one. You got to keep it the same. So whatever. I'm not going to change it. But
all good.
In terms of sacks, I did a bold prediction article yesterday, and I actually think this is not even that bold, but most people will. That JPP gets more sacks than Shaq Barrett.
Mm-hmm.
I think JPP is going to get over 14 sacks. He came back the last 8 games in 2019, or I don't even think it was 8, or it was something like that, and he got 8.5 sacks. I mean, you put that over a full season, it's 17 sacks. Now, can he stay healthy? That's the biggest question, but he's coming into this season fully healthy. I think teams are going to focus on Shaq Barrett's side a lot more. They're going to chip him. They're going to double team him. I mean, how are you going to stop Sue, JPP, Devin White when he blitzes, Levante David when he blitzes? This front seven's insane. So I have them going in week 1 and beating the Saints. The Saints are historically bad in week 1 for some reason. I think I had the stat here. If you go back to 2015, first of all, they're 7-10 in September, going back to 2015.
Wow.
For a team that's made the playoffs, that's pretty bad. They're 6-7 in week 1. So I think they're 4-3 at home. So they're a little bit, they're a little bit better when they're at home, obviously. But they're close to 500 in week 1 games. For some reason, they just don't get prepared and they're just not ready. So I see the Bucs going in there and winning. I don't have them losing their first game until week 3. They go into the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
Yeah, they go into Denver. That's going to be a tough game. West Coast. I think it's your time zone. 2 hours behind, the air, all of that. I think their defense is underrated, and I like Drew Lock. So I mean, we'll see. But let me check what is my final record? I think I had 12-4. Yeah, I had 12-4 as their final record.
Okay.
And it's going to be a battle between. I think the Falcons are a sleeper team. I would not be surprised if they go 9-7 this year.
Rick is kind of
the Saints. It's going to be a battle the whole way.
Yeah, Rick is definitely. He did make very, very good points. And I'm not even going to say that Rick is wrong with Atlanta or you. I just think that when ownership tells you that you have like 1 year to prove it, once your 4th, 5th week is done, and if you're sitting there at 2-3 or 3-2, I think that's where your ownership kind of starts pulling the plug. In Atlanta, they got a lot of talent. it looks like they're, in my opinion, honestly, I think I can see them doing what the Ravens did a couple years ago, where you're going to keep Matt Ryan, keep everybody, you're going to get that pick wherever it is. They might reach for Nance in this draft because he's a bit of a scrambler, and drop that cap space with Ryan, re-sign a couple of the players you need to, kind of do this weird rebuild because you can get the coach and the offensive coordinator and everybody out of there and the GM, and you can start anew. It could happen in Atlanta. That's honestly where my head's at, just because it looks prime for Atlanta and Detroit, that if they don't do good by week 5, that they can just pull the plug and start a rebuild and be in the running for someone like Trevor Lawrence.
Out of here. If Patricia doesn't do well, he's gone.
See, and I came around on Detroit only because of some of the injuries that have happened in their own division and the way that the Packers are looking. I got them at 7-9 because Stafford is a great quarterback. And me and you have bought Madden. We didn't want to, but
I regret it.
Yeah,
I don't know how. But going back to the Falcons, I don't know how Dan Quinn did not get fired last year. I don't know how he survived the season.
I think it's just because when you still have Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and a couple of those intricate pieces left in your system, until they start doing really bad, I think you can keep Dan Quinn. Like, Kyle Shanahan should have stayed, because they could have been one of the top competitive teams, past the Saints, even if they kept Kyle Shanahan in there. So
he didn't want to stay. He almost won a Super Bowl as a head coach.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Atlanta is just a weird team in general. It's weird. But yeah, going back to Madden just for a quick second, I've always just played Madden. I enjoy it. I like just putting the podcasts on, throw some Madden on, throw a game on, do my stuff, do my work around here. And I finished my first season because I early bought it. I just wanted to play with the Bucs and have Brady and actually have a consistent offense. Madden. It's really nice to throw the ball at Chris Godwin and aim this way, and it goes this way. And when I had Winston and I want the ball to go this way, it used to go that way. Like, what? For 5 years, I dealt with that. So it
was still annoying when you get like the pressure inaccurate pass thing that happens. It's so irritating. It's a wild throw, not even near your receiver. It's annoying, but. Yeah, and I bought Madden begrudgingly.
Yes, and I finished the first season. There we go. I finished the first season. Tom Brady won the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, 48-45. And the one thing that I love doing is I love doing the off-season stuff. And this is, I got it on all Madden, and this is the last game I'm probably buying for a couple of years. I'm not even going to lie. So I've said that I'm going to just, build it the way that I've always kind of done. And I brought Matt Stafford in to replace the Tom Brady here in Tampa.
That's spicy.
Because if if Detroit does, say, get a top 5 pick, like Miami last year, one of those quarterbacks is going to fall to you. And it may just so happen that it could be the one that you want, whether it's a Josh Fields or a Trevor Lawrence. I personally think it's more of a chance it's going to happen to the Jets and they trade Sam Darnold. But if it does happen to Detroit, Stafford is going somewhere, and Stafford is going to do a lot of damage somewhere. And that's the reason why I picked him up in Madden. But do you think, say after this year we win the Super Bowl, and we're just throwing that scenario out there, we win the Super Bowl, instead of going for a young quarterback, do you see the Buccaneers going for somebody maybe like a Derek Carr or a Stafford or even Carson Wentz if they decide to go with Hurts after the offseason? We'll keep Rodgers out of it, but we'll say more of those mid-tier great quarterbacks, even like Matt Ryan. Do you see them going that way after the Tom Brady era, or do you see them more going the young quarterback route after the Tom Brady era?
I'm going to cheat and say both, because I think they're going to sign a bridge guy like that. I don't think they want to go like so low in the totem pole that they're going to get a top 5, top 10 pick. But I think they're going to want to bring in a Stafford and say, listen, it's your job if you can win it. If you can't, we've got a young guy here ready to go. So I think they want their options open. They're going to draft a guy. Man, if they win the Super Bowl, the question is, does Bruce Arians retire? Does Tom Brady retire? You know, what did they choose to do? Because if they don't win a Super Bowl this year, the whole band's coming back together next year.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But well, I say the whole band, but they can't pay everyone on defense. I think Sue's probably gone. They're not going to pay him $9 million. You know, it's going to be real tough with the salary. But anyways, I think if they do win, you know, Bruce Arians is going to elect a successor. If it's Byron Leftwich, I'm scared. If it's Todd Bowles, I'm still scared.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to want their guy as well as a bridge quarterback. So.
Yeah, and I've said that before too. I mean, when you look at some of the quarterbacks that went into the later rounds of this last draft, being the one that went to Buffalo, me and Johnny Dean went back and forth. He had, I think it was James Morgan, I think was the one that he was talking about, and I was the big Cole McDonald.
A lot of people were decently high on him, but
yeah,
I thought they were going to take a guy in the 6th to 7th round, but it didn't happen. So.
With that said, Bucs Report has done a great job with the interviews. Josh has done a fantabulous job at camp and stuff like that, and having interviews with some of the players. Now that we've seen Reed Sinnett, you know, in that orange creamsicle practice jersey, do you think in the offseason, you know, depending on where they actually put him, but do you actually see Reed Sinnett getting a little bit more traction because he gets to see what Tom Brady does and he gets to talk to Tom Brady? Do you see that giving him a little bit more of an edge to stay on the roster and be possibly a good backup going forward for the Buccaneers?
I think he gets an edge, and it has nothing to do with football or Tom Brady at all. It's just because of COVID-19, and I think they're going to want to carry more quarterbacks. Now, I'll have my 53-man roster prediction coming out, and I have them keeping all 4 guys, but I have one of them going on the practice squad protected. You know, this year I think they bumped it to 16. You can protect 4 players, so you know other teams can't steal. I think they're going to want a guy that's, you know, your job is to sit at home and do nothing, and if we need you, then you know you're going to get the call. So, is that guy Ryan Griffin that stays on the roster, or is it Reed Sinnett? Man, that's a tough decision because I could see them going either way where, you know, Ryan Griffin, you've been in the league for 6 years. You've shown us nothing. We're just going to throw you on the practice squad and protect you. I think you can throw vets on this year. So, or it could be, you know, we don't see Ryan Griffin clearing through waivers, so we'll put Reed Sinnett on there because now we can protect him. I honestly don't know which way they're going to go, but I think in some capacity they're going to try to keep all 4.
I do too. I mean, Bruce Arians and the way that he coaches and the amount of coaches that he has, I mean, a few people have talked about it before. Bucs Report has talked about it before. With all those coaches in there, you can start finding, you know, diamonds in the rough and stuff like that. Do you see, you know, some of these other guys like Divinity or Motley, you know, some of these other young guys coming in? Do you see any of these guys, you know, without giving too much on your predictions, do you see any of these guys being in week 1 and actually doing some damage on the defensive side for the Buccaneers right off the bat?
In week 1 and doing damage, no. But I loved Parnell Motley when he was drafted. I don't know how he slipped to, you know, past round 7. I thought he was around. I thought he was an early day 3 guy. And I think I was posting the undrafted free agent tracker. Like as one came through, I'd keep tweeting out the list. And Ohio State fans were like, they were so happy that he finally found a home. I think that was my biggest tweet where, you know, they were all just praising him. I went back and watched the LSU versus Ohio State championship game. I keep saying Ohio State. Is it Oklahoma? I don't remember.
OSU?
I don't know. My brain has broken. Anyway,
yeah,
whatever
sorry,
team he was on, I went through. And I think LSU had 600 yards or something like that. And I just zoned in on Parnell Motley. I didn't care about anything else but what he was doing. I think he let up 50 yards, and not even 50 yards. I think it was like 30 and a few catches. He was really the best defensive back in camp. And then he hurt his shoulder, which really, really sucks. So, or I don't know if it was his shoulder, but he hurt something. I think he's probably going to land on IR. Divinity, I think he'll probably go on the practice squad too. I like him a lot, but there's so much talent on this side of the ball.
Exactly.
There's no way, you know, they like Minter. They like all these other guys in the linebacking core. got Anthony Nelson, who's a pass rusher. There's only so much space. So
Peter's favorite pass rusher.
I'm not a huge fan of him, but I think Tyler Johnson's going to probably go on IR. He hasn't really been healthy all of camp, which kind of sucks. But we have Scotty Miller, who I really wasn't a big Scotty Miller fan at all. And he's really shown that he's the wide receiver 3, and it's his job to lose.
Yeah, me and Peter, when I first got on here with Bucs Report, I mean, one of the key things that I've said that I think kind of got me on here is I praised it on Peter's show, and I think that he kind of came around to it was, you bring Tom Brady in, and this is before Brady signed, is you bring Tom Brady in, he's going to want an Amendola or an Edelman or one of those type of slot receivers that he's had before, and now he's got 2 technically in Scotty Miller and Justin Watson, and whichever one he wants is going to utilize.
I don't think that Scotty Miller is this prototype. He's a short white guy. That's his comparison to an Amendola and an Edelman, but he's more of a burner. He's not really this guy that's going to sit in the soft spot of his own defense and get possession catches. So I think he can turn into that guy, but that's not what he was in college, and that's not what he was last year. Chris Godwin is more of a Larry Fitzgerald. He's not really that Edelman either. So I think they're going to try to make Scotty Miller into that guy. And we'll see if he can fit into that role. I think he can, but that's not how he's been used in the past. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of switch up his playing style.
Now, I agree, because it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we've seen double coverage on Mike Evans on, the left side, and they always leave just one coverage on the right. And if you got Godwin in the slot, that guy's going to cheat a little bit, and you keep Scotty Miller right on that far right side. He is gone down that edge, down that sideline. So it is going to be a lot fun to watch.
You can't double anyone. It's impossible. It's impossible to double anyone.
It has to be man-to-man coverage. And, when you look at some of the, the defensive backs that they have to play later on, I mean, the Panthers defense is going to be good. I just don't think it's going to be good enough to beat the Bucs. I mean, your Chargers and your Bears, even your Broncos, those are like the 3 biggest teams that are going to have for coverage against these Buccaneers wide receivers, but they're going to just have so much fun with, the rookies in Minnesota. I mean, even against the Chiefs, like the Chiefs, the defense on the Chiefs is good, but they're like the Texans from before. You can have one really good defensive lineman, one really good middle linebacker, one really good corner, one really good safety. Other teams are just going to utilize the holes on the other side. So, I mean, the other reason I got them losing against the Rams is only because I think, given how deep in the season it's going to be, I think the Rams with Jalen Ramsey and that defense will start coming around, start winning more games. I still got them missing the playoffs. Same with the 49ers, man. I've done my prediction.
That's bold.
I've done my prediction 3 times. 3 times now. And I even, I listened to Rick. I've listened to a couple other people too. And I've even just tried to throw them a couple of games. But I mean, that whole division is hard. And when you don't have enough wide receivers and the defensive side of the ball on all 4 of those teams are stacked through and through, and we don't know necessarily what the Cardinals defense is going to be, but on paper, it could be elite. It's going to be hard for Garoppolo to keep passing it to Ayuk and keep letting the ball be ran and stuff like that when they're going to need to get a score like they did in the Super Bowl. And I think that's where a lot of these games are going to lose on. And I still got them going 7-9. I still got them being up there. My biggest bold prediction of the season, though, and I've had a lot of people give me flack on this, I still think Week 17, the Steelers and the Browns are going to go in to that game both at 9-6, both knowing that there's only one spot left in the playoffs. Denver's got the 7th seed. Whoever wins this gets the 4th seed. The other person gets the 8th seed. That means you're out. And I think with Stefanski there, having basically 16 weeks, even with Baker Mayfield. But if Baker Mayfield doesn't start winning, they brought in, I believe it was Chase Daniels or Case Keenum, in for a reason. So I think the Browns, my biggest bold prediction, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this, is I think the Browns beat out the Steelers Week 17, get that 10-6 spot, and they get into the playoffs. And last year, when everyone was saying the Browns Super Bowl or bust kind of thing with the whole Odell Beckham, oh my God. It was like, you forget that there's still holes across the board. I mean, people laugh at the whole Tampa Bay, Super Bowl or bust this year, but I mean, our starting roster across the board is arguably the best starting roster on paper out there. It is
also
the depth.
Baker Mayfield versus Tom Brady. I mean, that's
right. So, but on the other side, like Johnny Dean has always said, and Johnny Dean's actually watching with us. So much respect to you guys. And I saw his comment there. Which was it here? Or yeah, Rodgers Bucs 2020 or 2022, which is hilarious. But do not sleep on the Niners or Arizona. I know I've said my take on the 49ers. Whether a lot of people want to call me crazy, I got Arizona winning that division at 11-5 with Seattle at 10-6.
Wow.
And
I don't know if they're going to go 11-5. I could see 8-8 or 9-7, but that division is brutal.
The reason why I say it is a lot of people said Lamar it's going to take him 3 or 4 years to get to the level that he was at, and it took 1. I am not saying that Kyler is going to break records like him. What I'm saying is they traded for DeAndre Hopkins for a reason, and they, instead of drafting, I think it was Mekhi Becton that they were looking at, they went and they grabbed Isaiah Simmons for a reason.
He's a beast. He's so good.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
I was happy the Panthers didn't get him.
Oh, I would have been so mad. I mean, they've got.
It would have been a perfect pick for them.
Oh, perfect. They would have had their Luke Kuechly. They would have had their next Luke Kuechly for sure. But my thing is with Arizona is when you brought in DeAndre Hopkins, it was kind of like when the Ravens brought in Mark Ingram, is they knew, and it kind of was, it was big, obviously, but it wasn't that big. DeAndre Hopkins coming in was a little bit bigger. But I have as my biggest thing, I have it was Jonathan Taylor winning Rookie Offensive Player of the Year. And I only say that because of the offensive line on the Colts. When I looked at the whole MVP list, I have Kyler Murray as my MVP because of the division that he's in, and he would, take out the 49ers. He would be leading that division over Russell Wilson. I don't think they're going to do any damage in the playoffs. But I think that they'll show the rest of the NFL that, we let Rosen go for a reason. We took this guy number 1 for a reason. We're rebuilding this roster. We brought Cliff Kingsbury in for this reason. And I think that the offensive side of the ball in Arizona is going to flourish tremendously this year. I don't think the defensive side is going to be one of the top 10, but it's going to do enough damage at certain key points where, forced fumbles, a key block here and there, like more fantasy stuff. That'll help them win some of these games. But in general, that defense is still going to let in like 29 to 30 points per game.
Yeah, I still don't. Kyler Murray at MVP, that is a bold prediction.
That's my biggest one this year is definitely Kyler Murray.
I'm just going to go boring and say Patrick Mahomes. I think he's the best player in the entire league. Lamar Jackson won last year. I think he's just going to take it over again. The Cardinals, I don't know if I see them winning. I think 9 games is even a lot. That division is so brutal.
So
but if you're right, that's going to be wild if you're correct.
Well, Rick, respect to Rick on this. He's definitely pushed back on the Arizona. He's like, just wait on Arizona, like give them time. And my biggest thing on that, the fact that Kyler Murray will have a season like Lamar, whether he's MVP or not, that's just my choice. But I think he's going to be the MVP. Is not even just the MVP voting is. He can knock out, say, a win against Seattle in Seattle. If, Kyler and them can win a game in San Francisco, I got them taking both games from the Rams, not easily, but taking both games from the Rams. Their playoffs, their, window to show everybody that they're one of the best teams in the league doesn't start with, the wins against, I think I had them winning against the Patriots and the Bills. It's really the games in their conference. They win 4 games out of their conference, and then 2 of the other big games out there, say against the Patriots or Bills, the Jets and the Dolphins become a little bit easier. Those are 2 easy pickup wins. The rest of their schedule, I can't remember what it was, but they were respectable. And I think with that and just, bringing in DeAndre Hopkins, the way that Cliff Kingsbury runs that offense, I mean, they got 4 to 5 wide receivers really that could catch the ball. Decent tight end. And, Kenyon Drake on the backside, which is like having a poor man's McCaffrey. So that to me has been my, big bold prediction and stuff like that. I came down a little bit more on the Broncos, but I still got the Broncos making the postseason. But I think the biggest bold prediction I had for the Bucs, and a lot of people say, whatever, I think we all kind of have it, is I got the Bucs going to the Super Bowl. But the biggest bold prediction in there is I want to call this Super Bowl the old man Super Bowl, because I got them playing the Colts in the finals against Phillip Rivers. So you have two basically 40-year-old quarterbacks that are going to play each other in the Super Bowl finals. Tampa Bay will still get the win, my honest opinion. What do you see happening in the Super Bowl? Like, who is the final 4 teams that you got competing for the Super Bowl this year?
I would say the Ravens and the Chiefs, I think, have the AFC Championship game on lockdown. I think that's a pretty boring answer. The NFC, it gets way more difficult. You've got the Seahawks, the 49ers, the Bucs, the Saints. I'm trying to think of other divisions. The Packers,
Cowboys,
maybe. I don't think they'll get as far. NFC East is kind of trash, so probably not. But I think those are probably the big 4 or 5. I think the Chiefs get back to the Super Bowl, and the NFC is going to be so brutal in the playoffs. The Saints are going to be the Saints and probably choke. Even the Vikings, they could make it in that wild card spot. They could even win that division outright. I don't know, the Colts. I think the AFC South is going to be brutal too. You've got the Texans in there who, they've got Deshaun Watson. I think he's almost at an elite level, but I think it's just a 2-team race there. So the Bucs, I know Peter said Super Bowl or bust. I am playoffs. I'm
not
happy.
at Super Bowl. I'm not at Super Bowl or bust.
Okay. I'm at make the playoffs and I'll be happy because they haven't made it since the stock market crashed in 2008, pretty much.
Yep.
So
win a playoff game and I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm pretty much beating around the bush for your answer and not giving you one. But I'll go the NFC Championship game. I won't say a Super Bowl, but I'll go NFC Championship game. I think it'll be the Bucs and the Seahawks.
Nice.
The two expansion teams of 76.
Yes, sir. What I got is I got number 1 KC playing number 3 Indianapolis. I got number 1 Tampa Bay playing number 7 Philadelphia. I think that what we saw with Carson Wentz at the end of the season last year when he had like nobody, I think that's going to kind of come around when he gets just a little bit more talent this time and be able to kind of show a little bit why he was Philadelphia traded up to get him and why he should have his statue kind of built in Philly instead of the guy in Chicago. So
Nick Foles.
Hey, remember when we talked about that in the group chat that we almost had him there? So
they should have, and he made a last-minute decision essentially.
Yep. I mean, would we have kept Winston for that 5th year had Foles signed? That'd be a question for another day.
Foles was destined to be a backup. Now, does he go in if Winston played poorly? I don't know. I mean,
Fitzpatrick went in, right?
Right. Was it that? I don't remember what year it was exactly. I think it was that year where Fitzpatrick went in.
Yep, I think it was just injury.
So yeah, he would have played. The Eagles wouldn't have won the Super Bowl. That would have been a wild alternate reality.
Right. So we're up against the clock here because I know the other guys got to get on in about 20 minutes. I'll go 1 minute into the comments here. Johnny, thank you so much for being a part of this show today, man. Like I've said before, I don't have the greatest amount of views on my shows, but I got people who download the audio all the time, and I got people who go in after work and watch it. So first of all, thank you for joining us, and thank you again, Johnny, for being in there. See, you guys have to look at depth. Arizona and the Niners have great rotation. That is a good point. It's just something about the San Francisco's offense for me.
I'm reading the next comment. Stop with the Texans, the Colts, and the Titans own that division. John, I don't disagree with that, but we were talking in the group chat, And
Mhm.
I don't remember exactly what Johnny Dean said. I think he said they were going to be a bottom 5
Yeah.
pick. I don't think they're going to
Johnny
be
said
that
they
bad.
would be they would get the number 1 pick at one point.
Oh, yeah. No. Oh, yeah,
yeah,
I remember now. There's
yeah.
Jacksonville's going to get number 1, and it's not going to be close.
See, and the only thing that I'll say is I honestly think the Jets will get it because I think Jacksonville and the Jets are only going to get 2 wins. I think Adam Gase is just royally fucked that locker
Adam
room.
Gase is terrible. Awful.
Yeah, and
I feel bad for Jets fans.
I feel bad for Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold really could have been the Jets' saving grace had they actually just fucking listened to the fans and gone after a head coach not named Adam Gase at this point. Like Mike McCarthy would have been a really good choice to have there with the Jets for crying out loud. So, no, quickly guys before we go, I got the Jets with the number 1 overall pick, Jacksonville 2, Washington 3, Cincinnati 4, Atlanta 5, Miami at 6 via Houston. I got Minnesota at 7, Carolina 8, Detroit 9, and the Giants 10. That's basically just, giving you the final standings. Everybody else after that doesn't really matter. Nick, thank you so much for joining me, dude. This has been fucking awesome. I'm glad that you actually got to come on here. You've dropped a couple of fuck bombs, I think. If not, I'm going to clip them. I'll find them.
I try not to swear because if I get in the mindset that I'm going to swear, then I'm going to do it on every show.
Exactly.
Usually when I'm off camera, I drop F-bombs, every other sentence, but I've got to like train my brain. When I'm in front of a camera, don't do it. So it's hard to break that habit.
Well, for North Sports fans, can you just give us a fucking A?
Fucking A.
Fucking A. Thank you very much, Nick Sitro.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Dude, so we're going to be doing a Zoom live draft tonight on Twitter. Citro, drop a little bit of info on that, and then I'll get you out of here, buddy.
So we're doing like a Bucs content creator draft. We've got the Loose Cannons people on there, Buck What You Heard, EMT Ashley. We've got Josh is on there, a couple other people. I know I'm forgetting. There's like 14 people. Pewtercast is on there. And we've got, hopefully we're going to be able to figure out the stream, but if all goes well, we'll have all 14 of us in a room talking shit about the draft. Hopefully we can get the actual draft board up there so everyone can see it. What is Stank Bastard's actual name? Because he's the one doing it and I don't know what his real name is. I am like hands off. He's going to be streaming it. He's got all the technology and all that. So hopefully he can get it figured out.
Yeah, so just follow Nick Sitro on Twitter. Drop all that info in there too. Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, just at Nick Sitro, pretty simple. Sitro. I swore on the camera, Johnny Dean, but it's going to turn into a habit if I do it too much.
We're
if
not
you're interested in football in general, I pretty much am like 99% football, included with the Bucs, other 1% sports. So if you like football in general, come check me out.
Right on. And yeah, we're going to be on there tonight there. I think we'll be popping on Bucs Report here to go say hi to the guys and I had it here. Give me 1 second because Johnny found it. The Deck Bar and Grill. That is where the Audibles, Joshua Cole Allen, Blake Anthony, Ray Kennedy, the dude himself is going to make an appearance. Rick Hughes is going to make an appearance. We'll make an appearance. But the man himself, Peter Blake, who runs the Sports Reb and Bucs Report, will be leading it. Thank you again, Nick Sitro, for joining us. Have yourself a great day, and I will be talking to you again soon, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll talk to you soon. I'll see if I get him out of here. There we go. Right, that was easy. Right on. So, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the interview with Nick Sitro. This has been fucking fun. That's like my first real long interview. When we had Josh on, it was an interview, but me and him just went back and forth bullshitting a lot. That was always good fun too. So love having Johnny in the comments. Love having all the people who watched today. Thank you everybody for tuning in for North Sports. Don't forget to follow, share, and like North Sports for all your north of the border sports, talk, debates, and entertainment. Remember, I'm not wrong. I'm just opinionated. So if you want to join the debate, bring an open mind because I might just fill it with something you've never thought about before. Remember to like and share. Follow me at Twitter at Andrew_Faubert. Look for the North Sports logo. if you want to win the Heartbeat Hot Sauce Grand Package, we've got the jalapeno here. We've got the pineapple habanero right here, red habanero, which is so good. But my personal favorite right here is the blueberry habanero. All you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is share this video or comment in the comment section at Heartbeat Hot Sauce. Let them know that you're watching. Let them know that you want this Heartbeat Hot Sauce. This is not the booster pack, but we are going to have a booster pack like this available for the winners as well. All you gotta do is share this video or the other videos that I have done before, or drop Heartbeat Hot Sauce into any of the videos that I've done before. Thank you, everybody. Go and tune in to Bucs Report, who is going to be live from the bar, the Deck Bar and Grill in about 20 minutes, 15 minutes now. Thank you again, everybody. Follow me all across the board. Like I said, Twitter, North Sports on Facebook. I'll be on Bucs Report here and there. I am a contributor there. I try my best. We got the giveaway and YouTube. This video will be popped up on YouTube fairly soon. I will get everything updated on to Spotify here. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, and shout out again to Nick Sitro. Go follow him. He is the man, the myth, the legend himself. Scott Sterling! Except it's Nick fucking Sitro! Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you next week where we will have a mock draft special with a couple of my friends out here will be coming in. We're going to get really baked. We're going to do a draft. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be fun, and then right after that, I'll have my live show, or right before that. I'm not too sure. Tune in, and we'll talk to you next week. Love you all. Have a great one.